Hey, today I'm going to be reviewing Ernesto Sabato's novel, The Tunnel. Zoom out there, look at that. It's a great cover. It's beautiful. So this book was published in 1948 and is, written by an Argentinian. And so briefly, what it's about, it's a novel about a guy who murders a lady. Not a spoiler. It's in the very first sentence of the novel. It's in the very beginning. You know that throughout the whole thing. And him sitting in a jail cell, retelling his story of how he came to murder her, and kind of why. Just to start, the author himself sounds like a super interesting, kind of fascinating guy. Where is he born? I think he's born in Buenos Aires. But he got a PhD in physics, and then after he was a physicist for a while, he decided, like, oh, I'm going to dedicate all my time to writing and painting, and became one of Argentina's most successful and influential authors. So much so that I was just reading when they had, I don't really know that much about Argentinian history, but it was like, they had to have a report into war crimes that generals in charge of the country had committed. And they had him, Ernesto Sábato, come in and lead the commission because he was so well regarded. And he wrote the report that was very damning for these generals. Anyway, that's beside the point. Other than the guy seems like a very interesting guy, and I'd like to know more about him. And I would really like to read his other two big novels, which are On Heroes and Tombs and The Angel of Darkness. So as far as this novel goes, it's fascinating. It's like an existential novel, modern, postmodern, whatever you want to say. I mean, the very first sentence of the synopsis pretty much sums it up. An unforgettable psychological novel of obsessive love. Super interesting. I feel like for the content, I mean, super interesting idea. You're dealing with existentialism, which is sometimes hilarious and sometimes really depressing. So that's an interesting thing, as well as love and psychology. That's great. The passion, it's a novel about passion, really. I mean, obsessive love. The main character, Juan Pablo Casel, is a painter, and he talks about painting, and he has very strong opinions and ideas, and a very realized craziness. The structure seems pretty normal at first. It's little chapters, it moves through, it's very quick. It's a very short novel. It's only about 140 pages. But I was reading about, like, the different ways that the sentence structure in this book, the fact that they're short sentences, they're clipped, they are very focused and controlled, are a counterpoint to the craziness of the main character. And they imply that the world is normal. That world is normal for him, that he does not acknowledge his own craziness whatsoever. Because it's kind of told in his own head. He's like recounting the tale. So that's great. I mean, I love that. It's almost Hemingway-esque in the writing, in that it's very simple and straightforward, yet there's a lot of depth and layers to it that aren't obvious on the first examination and really lend themselves to deep thought. Which, like, that's like a whole nother video on how that works. Like, determining meaning. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. So I'll give it high marks for structure. Initially, thinking about it, I gave it decent marks for structure. I thought it was unremarkable. But then once I kind of read that point and I went back and looked at it again, it was really kind of brilliant. And I can get behind that. As far as the writing, both noble diction and elevated composition, I feel like it gets pretty good marks. Like I said, it's good writing. It's simple. It seems pretty straightforward. The shame of it is that I would like to read it in the original Spanish, is what I assume. But I don't know Spanish well enough to do that. So one of these days, if I ever really master the Spanish language, I'll get around to trying to find the original Spanish version of this and seeing if I can't pick up some different subtleties or meanings. And that's part of the interesting part. I was thinking about this the other day, about reading translations, even if they're seemingly straightforward. You can never really translate something. You can get very, very close, but it's just another layer of misunderstanding. Anyway, I'll probably have to make a whole video about that too. Anyway, I just wanted to read, I want to finish this off by reading a couple of passages that kind of get the meaning of the novel. Not the meaning, but I just thought were great. They're towards the end, but they're not really plot driven. So, if you feel uncomfortable with that, this is a warning that these are passages from the end of the novel. I, however, do not feel they're super plot driven. They're more philosophical. But you've been warned. Stop watching now. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'm going to give this a solid 4 out of 5 stars. It was a great book. I feel like everyone should go pick it up, but it is not a life changer or a game changer. So anyway, if this is where you're leaving, enjoy reading. Have a good life. For those of you who want to hear these little quotes, here they are. And that after all, there was only one tunnel, dark and solitary, mine, the tunnel in which I had spent my childhood, my youth, my entire life. And in one of those transparent sections of the tunnel wall, I had seen this girl, and had naively believed that she was moving in a tunnel parallel to mine, when in fact she belonged to the wide world, the unbounded world of those who did not live in tunnels. And perhaps, out of curiosity, she had approached one of my strange windows, and had glimpsed the spectacle of my unredeemable solitude, or it had been intrigued by the mute message, the key of my painting. Okay, and now this is just the very last thing. My mom made a formal request that I include my dog in a video. So here is Winston's YouTube debut. Alright. As always, enjoy reading and have a good life. Bye.